A student named Minato appears in the capital after informing his mother on the phone about the results of his exam. He enters a train and thinks about the way he has been leading his life, with no close friends and having failed the exam for the second time. He believes himself a failure. He notices the main building of the company MBI, which is a high skyscraper, and remarks that MBI was founded by a child prodigy. After leaving the train, he questions himself about whether he would manage to get a decent girlfriend while walking home and suddenly feels the ground shaking. He looks around him and notices a girl falling from the sky, who screams to get out of her way. The girl who fell on top of him was being attacked by two other Sekirei who seemed to generate electricity. Frightened, he questions if he truly witnessed a lightning attack but is dragged off by the girl before receiving any answers. After being dragged off to a faraway place, the girl apologizes to Minato for involving him and introduces herself as Musubi. Minato seems to be attracted to Musubi but starts to wonder about what exactly happened and who those people were. Suddenly, Musubi collapses from exhaustion, and Minato takes her to his apartment, where he treats her to hamburgers in order to make her regain energy. While Musubi was expressing her gratitude to Minato and tells Minato that she has nowhere to return to, and Minato says that it is all right, but relationships are not allowed in the apartment complex. He inquires about the incident, and Musubi asks him to be her ashikabi. When Minato asks what that is, Musubi tells him that it's someone precious to her, to guide them to a higher sky, and she has been looking for one for a long time. After confronting the landlord about having a woman in his apartment, Minato tells Musubi about modesty. After lunch at Skyland, Musubi goes to the market to get food for dinner, and Minato goes to the bank. While he walks there, the twin Sekirei, Hikari and Hibiki, see him and soon see Musubi as she comes running up. The twins wonder why, since she is with a man, she has not emerged yet. Minato jumps in front of Musubi to protect her in battle and runs off with her, dodging lightning. He runs to an alleyway and puts Musubi down. She feels really hot and looks very red. She then grabs him, and they kiss, therefore making Minato an ashikabi. That is the winging process. She gets lifed, and she becomes very, very bright. Once a Sekirei emerges, the twins start attacking. Once Musubi made contact, she became much more powerful and defensive of her ashikabi. According to the twins, eventually there will be a battle royale staged in the city. This will eventually be known as the Sekirei plan. When Minato inquires what they are, Musubi tells him she is a Sekirei. Musubi and Minato in his apartment, where Musubi is cooking dinner, and Minato is talking to his younger sister Yukari, asking her to bring some clothes for Musubi. The TV suddenly and randomly turns on, despite the fact that it was off. On the TV, the MBI president was talking to Minato about him being Musubi's Sekirei partner. The professor talks about the Sekirei plan, which they are starting to enter. Basically, Sekirei are alien beings who are placed in the city and will fight each other, and their masters are the ones they emerge with, or their ashikabi. The Sekirei plan is highly confidential, and MBI will bully him with all their might if he mentions anything on the outside. An MBI agent stops by their apartment. Thinking they thought he told someone about the plan, Minato freaked out. However, it was just to drop off Musubi's clothes. If she wins, they will ascend to the higher skies together. The landlord finds out about Musubi and kicks them out of the complex. 30 apartment leasing offices later, each one turned Musubi them down because of a lack of budget, and since he failed the exam twice. Homeless and in the rain, Musubi kisses Minato and uses her power, jumping into the sky and blowing away the clouds to cheer him up. After jumping, they fall and land in the garden of the Izumo Inn, where they meet Miya, who treats his wounds. Minato also sees Kagari. Minato and Musubi also briefly meet Uzumi, who comes down to see what's going on. After being lent some clothes and preparing to leave, Minato sees that they have spare rooms at the Izumo Inn on a poster outside. He asks Miya to move in, and she agrees. Later that night, he gets a call from his mother. He informs her that he'll be moving and asks for an allowance, but receives an angry response from his mother, who tells him that he gets a reduction until he gets into college. She also warns him not to rely on his grandmother, and hangs up due to issues with her work. Meanwhile, we see a Sekirei named Akitsu sitting like she is abandoned when a guy named Hayato Mikagami comes up to her and is interested in making her part of his collection. The next day, Minato and Musubi gather their belongings at the old place. Minato also meets his little sister, Yukari, who is to study at a college in the area. She is here to give Minato some girl clothes, as previously requested by him. After they parted, the duo walked back to Izumo Inn. Minato found out a little more from Musubi about the different Sekirei and their abilities when they came across Kagari, who was preparing to go outside. After saying their farewells, Musubi takes a bath and invites Minato, but he declines. While Musubi is in the bath, Minato goes to the tree that Musubi and him landed on when they fell. As he touches the tree, he sees a vision of a small girl asking for his help. In the bath, Musubi meets up with Uzumi, who introduces herself properly while taking a bath together. Uzumi sees Musubi's Sekirei crest and tells her that she is also a Sekirei, and shows Musubi her crest. Musubi gets excited at meeting another Sekirei, and immediately attacks her, since it is what she was taught to do. Minato's attention is drawn towards the sudden noise, and Uzumi appears in front of him while flying out of the window. She hides behind his back and asks him to stop Musubi, because she doesn't have the desire to fight his Sekirei. The quarrel is soon stopped by Mia, who scolds Musubi and afterwards threatens both, Minato included, that she doesn't allow any violence in Izumo Inn. Later that night, Minato continues to have that weird dream whereby that little girl, Kusano, is pleading for his help. The next day, Minato goes to work to help pay for the rent. As he is working, he is introduced to a man named Seo, who suddenly takes an interest in him after sharing his lunch. While Seo and Minato talk, Hikari and Hibiki appear to beat him up for causing trouble for others. As they apologize to Minato before realizing he was the guy with that Musubi, it seems Seo is the Ashikabi of Hikari and Hibiki. Later while working, Seo asks Minato if he knows about the botanical garden. Minato, not knowing about the specifics, receives an explanation from Seo that there are rumors about a Sekirei called the Green Girl, whose current location is inside the garden. After the explanation, Minato and Seo head to the entrance of the botanical garden, where they blast through the entrance thanks to Hibiki and Hikari. During the walk, Minato suddenly sees a vision of Kusano, who points in the direction of her location. She disappears, and Seo then says that the Green Girl has chosen him as his Ashikabi. Meanwhile, Hamura finds the gates completely destroyed and meets the Ashikabi of the south with two of his Sekirei, Yomi and Akitsu. Yomi runs ahead while Hamura fights Akitsu. Musubi also arrives and she mistaken Hamura for Kagari, but dismisses it because she thinks Kagari doesn't wear a mask though he looks similar. Musubi heads in then. Meanwhile, Kusano wakes up from her sleep and looks outside to see if Minato has arrived. Instead, she finds Yomi looking at her and remembers that it was Yomi and Hayato who attacked Kusano and Takami when they were outside walking. Kusano forces her to unleash her great plant-like powers. Minato arrives as Yomi attempts to take Kusano away and rushes in to save her. Though Minato manages to find Kusano, however, and nearly killed when Musubi arrives. They fight, and thanks to Mia's advice to Musubi during training, Musubi wins by touching Yomi's mark and reciting her spell. Musubi proclaims how she protected Minato and her modesty. With Yomi's loss, Hayato couldn't feel her presence anymore and tells Akitsu to return. Back at Izumo Inn, Mia finds out that Minato has brought back Ku, another tenant for her inn. Later that night, Ku tells Minato how she was the one who cushioned his free fall. He thanks her and Ku wants him to be her Ashikabi. She kisses him as her wings sprout, making him her Ashikabi. That's 2 Sekireis Minato has now. The next day, as Minato leaves for work, he is being closely watched by a mysterious woman in a room filled with monitors. Minato notices Ku crying on his way out as she mentions something about her brother Shina, whom she is quite close to and has opposite abilities from hers. Minato then comforts her and assures her that Shina will find a good Ashikabi. As Minato finds out Seo has quit his job, Musubi continues her morning spar with Mia. Minato comes home from work, and to his surprise, finds Seo there. He finds out Seo was Takehito's best friend, who's Mia's husband, and Seo visits at Izumo Inn are mainly for free meals, though Mia personally thinks he's trash. Seo's working as a problem solver now. Hikari and Hibiki then come in to apologize and retrieve their useless Ashikabi for causing inconvenience. That's one problem he can't solve. That night, as Ku headed to the toilet, she got the scare of her life when she thought she had seen a ghost. She runs to Minato, who then checks around the inn with Musubi but finds nothing. The next morning, as Mia visits the grave of her late husband, Musubi and Ku help out to make lunch. Ku looks cute and weird in that wagtail outfit. Uzumi sure has lots of those weird outfits. Meanwhile, Yukari bumps into Shina in the streets. Yukari is totally taken in by his looks and trying hard to control herself. Then Sekirei's number 38, Mitsuha, a Sekirei under Hayato, finds Shina and is under her Ashikabi's orders to bring in unwinged Sekireis. Yukari, who doesn't know what's going on, takes Shina's hand and flees. Back at Izumo Inn, Minato wonders about the fate of the defeated Sekireis as Musubi explains why they are being taken away by the MBI. Though Minato isn't too fond of the idea of a Sekirei being separated by her Ashikabi, Musubi says that being with the person they love is a reward for the last standing Sekirei, and vows not to lose. Because that woman with glasses, Matsu, notices how close Minato and Musubi are, she declares that Musubi is her enemy. On a day when Musubi is running some errands, she unleashes several satellite lasers to blast her. While Musubi runs around, Matsu goes into the bath where Minato is. When he sees it's not Musubi, he begins to get nervous. Meanwhile, Yukari takes Shina back to her place and wonders what to do next, while Musubi continues to evade all those lasers like a pro. Musubi comes home with her clothes in tatters, while Matsu continues to seduce Minato and she attempts to kiss him. Just as she is about to do it, Musubi shows up. Matsu pulls out a net gun and traps Musubi. With Musubi trapped, Matsu tries to kiss Minato again. Then Mia shows up and stops Matsu from going any further. Matsu is then formally introduced to Minato, Musubi, and Kusano. She is the one Ku thought saw a ghost. Matsu also shows them her hidden room, which is actually located right next to the stairs in the wall. She says that she was on the run from MBI and has had to hide in her room all this time. Meanwhile, Mitsuha and Akitsu continue to find the Shina when Hamura appears before them. They attacked him, but had to retreat after realizing they weren't up to matching his superior firepower. He could have nearly burned himself if not for Tsukumi's use of her water powers to cool him down. She's still ranting about not wanting an Ashikabi, and saying she would kill him if she had one. In Yukari's room, she's still thinking of what to do with Shina when he tells her that she is his Ashikabi. At this point, she is still wondering if Shina is a boy or a girl. Later that night, Minato wakes up to see Matsu on top of him. She says that she forgot the ritual and kisses him, making him her Ashikabi. Suddenly, Mia bursts into the room and says that both Minato and Matsu will be punished for Matsu sneaking into Minato's room. The next morning, Minato sees Kagari in bandages as Mia feeds him before her usual sparring with Musubi. While Minato is sleeping, he has a dream of Tsukimi threatening to kill him. So Minato goes to ask information specialist Matsu more about this particular Sekirei, and finds out more about the Sekirei plan. It seems that 90% of the Sekireis in the city have been winged and that the next phase will soon begin. Also, Matsu mentions how it isn't unusual for other unwinged Sekireis to be attracted to or react to an Ashikabi that has multiple Sekireis. After getting a match for Minato's description, Matsu informs Minato that the Sekirei from his dream is named Tsukimi, Sekirei number 9, a powerful but dangerous Sekirei who hates Ashikabi. Minato is frightened at the prospect of facing her, but Musubi reassures him, and he decides to search for her. Along with Kusano, they begin to search the city for Tsukimi, and at the same time, Hikari and Hibiki are attacking Tsukimi, but the tables are turned on them. Soon Minato runs into Seo, and the latter seems to know Minato has more Sekirei than Matsu in particular. When the twins arrive with Tsukimi hot on their tail, Tsukimi starts to react to Minato's powers as she feels hot and her knees feel weak. Because of that, she declares that she will kill him. Tsukimi starts attacking Minato. Ku tries to attack back, but Minato stops her, saying that his purpose is to befriend her. Hikari and Hibiki continue to unleash their lightning attacks and power up with Seo. A disadvantage of being an unwinged Sekirei is that her powers are weak. Seo has Tsukimi in his grasp and wonders if she could be his Sekirei, when Minato declares that Tsukimi is his. Seo has to let go, because he got zapped by the twins, who are furious as they mentioned they were to be his only Sekireis. Having saved Tsukimi from the attacks from Seo and the lightning twins, Minato earns Tsukumi's trust. She declares that she will accept his proposal, which she treats as marriage, and that rather than killing him, she prefers kissing him, which she proceeds to do, thus emerging and becoming his fourth Sekirei. Musubi just then arrives at the scene, and seeing that Minato has more than one Sekirei, Tsukimi declares herself his legal wife. Musubi too wants to be Minato's legal wife, so Minato returns to the Izumo Inn with yet another Sekirei. Competition is getting tougher as Ku now clings on harder to her Oni-chan, while Matsu loves watching the bickering drama between Tsukimi and Musubi. Even if Tsukimi is a tough lady, she still can't beat Mia. Kagari himself is surprised that the Ashikabi hater has gotten herself one, but Tsukimi can't seem to put her finger on the fact that Kagari and Hamura are the same person and keeps wondering if they've met somewhere before. Elsewhere, Yukari remembers how Shina told her about the Sekirei plan and even suggests kissing. Back at Izumo Inn, after the usual fight over Minato, like we usually see in harem animes, Tsukimi is relieved to find out that Uzumi isn't Minato's Sekirei. Tsukimi and Musubi take a bath together while Ku has a chat with Minato about which one he likes best. Thankfully, Minato is a humble guy, as he says he's grateful for them choosing a loser guy like him. With that, Ku pecks his cheek, and this sends an uneasy shiver down Tsukimi and Musubi's spines in the bath. Meanwhile, Manaka is the eccentric chairman and founder of MBI, is glad that another Sekirei has been winged and that the second phase is going into motion soon. A flashback of Manaka and Takami back in 1999, when they were students and doing some excursion on some unknown island, whereby they found several tubes with bodies in it, and that's when Manaka started his crazy idea of playing God and becoming the game master. At Izumo Inn, Minato's Sekireis are fighting for their right to sleep next to Minato. Because they can't resolve it peacefully and all end up sleeping with him, Miya intervenes and draws up their sleeping rooms. Nobody gets to sleep with him. As Miya goes out shopping, Musubi is watering the lawn with Ku when Sekirei's number 4 Karasuba, also known as the Black Sekirei, unexpectedly drops by at Izumo Inn for a visit. It seems she and Musubi know each other well. However, Matsu is scared by the fact that she is here and quickly goes into hiding. She works for the MBI like a dog and will comply with any instructions from the organization. Karasuba is here to confirm that Musubi was the one who defeated Yomi and soon leaves after Musubi still remembers her promise with her. The TV then has a sudden announcement from Manaka, who says MBI has bought over the city and is sealed. Normal inhabitants need not worry, and those leaving will be thoroughly inspected at exit points. Karasuba meets Miya on her way, and there is a standoff between the two. They engage in a short display of power battles, and we learn that Miya is Sekirei's number 1. Karasuba goes back to Ashikabi in his Ferrari, and along the way she spots Mitsuha and Akitsu, and decides to let go some steam. The Kitsu suggests running away upon realizing the Black Sekireis, but Mitsuha doesn't know anything, so she starts attacking Karasuba. That's why we shouldn't be so cocky in the first place. A bloodthirsty Karasuba slices Mitsuha in a single strike, while Akitsu runs away. At the Izumo Inn, Musubi reveals to Minato the promise she made to Karasuba. Something about the necessity of humans if Musubi wins, then her theory of falling in love will come true. Otherwise, Karasuba's view of not needing those useless humans stands. Thus, they promise to be the last 2 Sekireis so that they could battle each other. Musubi also wants all Sekireis to be free, and to fly with their own wings. Meanwhile, Yukari is walking through the streets with Shina, dressed in a girl's dress as a disguise. Hayato watches them from his car, notices Shina isn't winged yet, and decides to move on his own, seeing that his previous Sekireis failed to do so. At the same time, Tsukimi and Musubi continue their rivalry over household chores, but Miya saying the first person who comes back from shopping gets to sit next to Minato for dinner, and off Musubi and Tsukimi go. That night, a Sekireis draped only in white cloth defeats another Sekireis while another drunken, busty Sekireis, Kazuhana, watches the city from a building while commenting on the blowing, unpleasant wind. The capital is tightly sealed, but an Ashikabi Haruka and his Sekirei number 95 Kuno decide to flee but are spotted by a disciplinary squad, Sekirei number 104, Heiheina. They have no choice but to return to the city. After Minato does his chores with his Sekirei, Minato goes to visit Matsu in her room, where she tells him several information about defeated Sekirei. It seems that during a fight, when a Sekirei is defeated, there is a rule that the victor must wait next to the body of the defeated as a sign of respect until the MBI comes to pick up and verify. Recently, there have been several defeated Sekireis, but the winner is not in sight. Now we see Ku in a cute mouse costume, so this prompts Minato to ask Miya more about Uzumi since she's always out. She says that Uzumi has these weird costumes to cheer up a precious person who is in the hospital. That person is Chiho, who is Uzumi's Ashikabi. Speaking of which, she is there visiting her now. Uzumi comes home late to find Tsukimi, and Musubi once again arguing about being Minato's legal wife. Matsu then notices a stain of blood on Uzumi's pants. Elsewhere, it looks like Hayato confirms losing Mitsuha as his Sekirei, so he decides to move in and make Shina fill in that gap as Akitsu monitors the unsuspecting duo. Yukari learns that Shina is looking for his sister Ku, and she agrees to help him find her after she tells her own story of how Minato used to look out for her when they were younger. Uzumi makes another visit to Chiho, but when she leaves the room, she is confronted by an Ashikabi, who seems to be blackmailing her into doing jobs against her will in order to save Chiho. He shows a picture of Uzumi's next target, Kuno. Tsukimi learns about a Sekirei breaking the rule of not being next to the body of the defeated and decides to go find the culprit along with Musubi. Haruka and Kuno are trying to find a way to escape when they are confronted by that white cloth Sekirei. By now, viewers should know that she is Uzumi with all the things falling into place. Kuno's high-pitched screaming ability only manages to restrain Uzumi for a while before she comes pursuing them again. Luckily, Musubi and Tsukimi arrive in time to save them, and the latter concludes she is the culprit. They are still unaware of Uzumi's identity, and Uzumi feels uneasy because she doesn't want to fight them yet. Drunk Kazuhana, reeking of alcohol, then casually walks by and says how she doesn't like all this. Kazuhana's interference is because she doesn't like an unfair fight. Annoyed by the 2-against-1 situation, and vanished together with Uzumi from the scene. Tsukimi turns around to find Musubi is missing, along with Haruka and Kuno. Somewhere, Uzumi and Kazuhana have a little chat, and the former challenges the latter to a duel. Back at the Izumo Inn, Matsu decides to do some seducing experiments on Minato when Kagari interrupts. Since Minato flees, Matsu turns her attention to Kagari, so he burns her a little as a warning. Kagari then experiences some chest pains and asks Matsu for some medicine. Meanwhile, Musubi drops onto Minato and drags him to his old apartment so that she can let him hear Haruka and Kuno's story. Minato and Haruka instantly click because the latter too failed his entrance exam twice. Haruka explains that he doesn't care for the Sekirei plan and wants to leave the capital, but the tight security of the MBI and disciplinary squad makes it impossible to do so. Furthermore, Kuno is a weak Sekirei and doesn't have any other abilities. Even though her voice ability is her only one, she's still weak nonetheless. Before they leave, they want Minato to keep this a secret. When Minato and Musubi come home, Tsukumi and Ku are seen waiting for them, and they are suspicious that the duo might be doing something secretive behind their backs. This doesn't help at all when Musubi says that all this is a secret. Tsukumi takes out poor Minato, and Ku too joins in. That night, Uzumi and Kazuhana come home all drunk and drop like a log, sleeping next to Minato. Of course, that guy has another shock of his life when he finds two babes by his side. Not as shocked as his Sekireis will soon find out. To make matters worse, Kazuhana is also interested in Minato and starts flirting with him. Before another fight could occur, Mia stepped in. She tells the gang how Kazuhana was a former resident of Izumo Inn. Uzumi recalls the duel she had with Kazuhana and could have lost if the latter had decided to press her Sekirei crest. So to make things up, Kazuhana wants Uzumi to take her drinking. So that's why they got all drunk. Later, Minato discusses how to let Haruka and Kuno escape, but Tsukumi isn't too fond of that idea. Matsu then tells Minato the origins of the Sekirei plan, and the history of how Manaka became its chairman. Since the MBI's sole purpose is the execution of this plan, anyone participating and then withdrawing would become instant enemies of the MBI. They may even resort to killing, and not even the Ashikabi will be spared. While Minato is having second thoughts about the escape plan, Musubi comes to reassure and support him as usual. Meanwhile, Karasuba is soaking herself and notes how things will get more interesting after learning Heihaina has let an Ashikabi and his Sekirei go. The gang is at Seo's place, and he agrees to help Minato and Haruka out. Initially, he wanted to charge a fee, but when he got a call from Mia, you know the rest. Seo shows the map of the capital, which is the supposed battlefield, and that it's being divided into 4 areas. The south, east, and west areas are controlled by powerful Ashikabas, so their only chance of escape is through the north. Why isn't there a powerful Ashikabi controlling that area? Seo hints at a scary demon that lives there. I guess Mia's reputation is so fearful that nobody dares challenge her. They're supposed to dash across the bridge in the north because even though there are guards, they won't be inspected. But there will be 2 problems. Firstly, the MBI satellite surveillance, and secondly, the disciplinary squad. Minato says he'll inform Matsu to hack it, while Musubi mentions how she'll take on the squad. With that all settled, the plan starts tomorrow night. In the meantime, Tsukumi and Matsu are discussing Sekirei's running away without fighting. Tsukumi doesn't like it because she thinks it's Sekirei's destiny to battle each other and that she thinks Matsu, who has never stepped out of Izumo Inn, is comparable to Kuno's situation of escaping. So Mia offers to test Tsukumi's powers, and in a single blow, her powerful blast not only causes a ripple in the ground but also rips off Tsukumi's entire clothes. The night before the escape, everyone gathers at the Izumo Inn for a farewell party. Haruka questions why Minato doesn't escape the capital too, since he too wishes to live peacefully with his Sekirei. Minato spots Tsukumi outside and excuses himself. Though Tsukumi still doesn't want to get involved in the escape plan, Minato says Musubi will be the only one capable of fighting the disciplinary squad. This prompts Tsukumi to ask him if he's worried about the contract or Musubi. She then places his hands on her chest and asks if he really wants her to. Matsu interrupts, so Tsukumi takes the chance to go off. Meanwhile, Uzumi has returned home, and Kazuhana knows she's been doing some jobs against her will. The next morning, Yukari and Shina continue to find Ku, while Hayato follows them and plans to make his move tonight. Mia also meets Kagari and believes his transformation has begun, though he says it isn't definite yet. Musubi is excited by that ripple left by Mia in the ground and feels encouraged to do her best during her morning practice, while Ku confronts Tsukumi and boldly tells her that she isn't Minato's wife because she doesn't want to help Minato. That little kid's words at least made her do some serious thinking. It must be the wife word. Nightfall comes as Minato, Musubi, Ku, Haruka, and Kuno prepare to leave according to plan. Karasuba is telling Ashikabi about a flashback. How Karasuba fought with Sekirei No. 8, the Sekirei of Fate, but the latter died after rescuing a young Musubi. Karasuba feels her death is a shame, and that she should have died at her hands instead. At the same time, Minato and the others dash across the bridge when Seo and his Sekireis blast a transformer station as a diversion. While Himura and Kazuhana watch from a distance, Takami is upset that Minaka knows all this will happen as he watches on. Well, he didn't call himself the game master for nothing. Ku, on the other hand, distracts the bridge guards with her plant powers. However, reinforcements arrive a little early, so Matsu tells the gang to abort their plan. But because Ku is in trouble, Minato is determined to save her and remembering the promise he made to her. Seeing Minato's determination, Matsu volunteers herself to go save Ku as she tells Minato to carry on across the bridge. For once, Matsu leaves the Izumo Inn riding on a motorcycle. Even Tsukumi is surprised by what Matsu is doing. Matsu arrives in time to rescue Ku, as she gives her a bazooka that shoots little plant capsules that sprout giant plants whenever she fires. Shina notices the plants and that Ku is here, as he rushes to find her along with Yukari. Unknown to them, Hayato is following them. As Minato and the rest run across the bridge, as expected, they are met with Heihaina and another disciplinary squad member, Sekirei number 105 Benitsubasa. Musubi eagerly takes on Benitsubasa, also a fist type like Musubi, as they exchange several magnificent blows. Because Musubi is being an airhead, Benitsubasa unleashes a combo of hers to send Musubi crashing to the ground and causing the bridge some damage. Minato hangs on for dear life because he can't swim if he ever falls off. On the other hand, Heihaina corners Haruka and Kuno. Back at Izumo Inn, Mia talks to Tsukumi about how Matsu and Ku are doing their best for Minato because their feelings for him are the same as hers. Tsukumi decides to go help Minato because she doesn't want to become a widow. Benitsubasa continues to pound Musubi with her combos. Musubi is knocked unconscious when she tries to reach for Minato. As Minato gets the strength to pull himself up from the bridge edge, he is shocked to see Musubi's Sekirei crest disappear. It can't be happening that Musubi has been defeated. While Minato is saddened by the loss of Musubi, Haruka uses his body to shield Kuno from Heihaina's claws. Kuno then uses her ultimate move after kissing Haruka, and unleashes a very gentle and melodic voice, which causes Heihaina and Benitsubasa to lose their fighting will. But after she finishes singing, Kuno's body can't handle it as she coughs out blood. The effects of Kuno's power then disappear as Benitsubasa prepares to attack Minato. Luckily, Tsukumi arrives in time to do battle with both the disciplinary squad members. Tsukumi is pissed because her rival has been defeated. However, Tsukumi gets pinned down under a beam during the duel. Meanwhile, Matsu and Ku think something is wrong with Minato and decide to go to where he is. Ku could have been reunited with Shina if Matsu hadn't speed off. Unfortunately, Yukari and Shina are being surrounded by Hayato, along with Akitsu and his other male Sekirei Mutsu. Sword-slashing Mutsu is going to get rid of Yukari by slicing her with his sword when Shina dives to save her. It was then that they both confessed that they loved each other and kissed. Too late, Hayato. He's being winged. With that, Shina unleashes her destructive decaying powers, which send Hayato and the rest retreating. On the other hand, a strange light starts to glow from Musubi's body, and a voice tells Minato to teach those little birds love. Yumi possesses Musubi's body, and easily throws away Heihaina and Benitsubasa just like that. Yumi then says how Minato's gentle and warm heart woke her up and proceeds to put his face in her chest, pissing off Tsukimi and Ku, who think this must be some underhanded tactic to catch them off guard. Karasuba then arrives, is happy to see Yumi again, and starts attacking her. As Yumi evades her slashes, she hints that the one who will fight her is Musubi. Before Karasuba could strike her, Yumi disappeared, and Musubi was back to her old airhead self again. Karasuba stops attacking and walks away after a short friendly talk with Musubi, as though her fight with Yumi didn't happen at all. Minato is overcome with emotion and rushes to hug Musubi. However, time is up, and the satellite starts to fire its beam as it splits the bridge in half. Haruka and Kuno are thrown into the air, but a mysterious white cloth grabs hold of them before the duo is blown across the bridge by a mysterious gust of wind. Haruka and Kuno are safely across the bridge as he shouts to Minato to come with them. But Minato says he has to stay back because he has things to do, even though he isn't pretty sure what they are. Haruka and Kuno continue their escape, promising that they'll meet somewhere else. Elsewhere, Kazuhana confirms Minato's manliness, while Karasuba hopes Musubi will grow stronger. Minato is getting emotional about how he's a useless bum depending on the girls. Musubi once again cheers him up by saying that everyone's doing their best because of him and that Minato should be himself. The other girls think Musubi is going to steal the limelight once more and decide not to lose out as they hug him. Better escape before the MBI arrives. In the aftermath, we see Hikari and Hibiki profusely apologize to Mia for Seo's intrusion of free meals for 3 days. She doesn't mind, unless Seo minds that Hanya Ora. Also, Minato's Sekireis continue to fight over him. Tamaki couldn't believe the revival of Sekirei number 88 and wants to investigate. Hayato rues his loss of winging another Sekirei, though Mutsu notes he has many of them back home, with Heihaina and Benitsubasa lamenting their loss to that big-breasted woman. Karasuba feels happy because things are getting interesting. The Ashikabi who blackmailed Uzumi decides to let her off the hook for her betrayal, seeing that she's still useful to him. Shina and Yukari continue to kick asses, beating other lowly Ashikabi and their Sekireis. Kagari's chest continues to experience pain as Kazuhana hints how a Sekirei forcefully reacts to a destined person. And finally Manaka noting how the story hasn't really ended yet and is just the beginning. Thank you for watching till the end, and please don't forget to subscribe. I only covered 1 to 12 episodes,